self-advocacy. Now, someone actually spoke to me earlier about her young adult child having extreme difficulty with self-advocacy, accepting help, asking for help. Now, I imagine she's the only one that has this experience. Is this pretty common? So what's the big deal with asking for help? So why don't people ask for help? It's so easy, isn't it? Just ask for what you want, right? I sat in an IEP meeting where we were trying to explain to the teachers why it's difficult for a young man to ask for help. One of the teachers actually said, how hard can it be? You just raise your hand. And he was serious. And of course, this was the teacher this kid has the biggest problem with. So what's the big deal about asking for help? It's really easy to do, right? How do you do it? How do you ask for help? Yes? Raise your hand. And that's why all of you have been doing that all day long. How else do you ask for help? Yes? Okay. Admitting you don't know anything and admitting that you might be wrong. Is there a belief in there someplace? Is there a belief that says if I don't know, there's something wrong with me? If I don't know, I'm dumb? And if I ask for help, I'm letting everybody know it? So is the issue asking for help? Or is the issue that there's a limiting belief that tells you if you do ask for help, it means something's wrong with you? Is that the bigger issue? And where do we learn that? That not knowing is bad? Maybe you get some feedback in a very common environment, say a classroom. If you don't know an answer to a question when you're called upon by the teacher, what kind of feedback do you get? What's that? Other kids will laugh at you. What are you, stupid? Sometimes the teacher gets on your case. You weren't listening, exactly. Oh, that's wrong. The feedback that you get tells you you just messed up because you didn't know. Ignorance, not knowing, is something to be ashamed of. And if that's the feedback you get, why on earth would you ever admit to not knowing something? Because the prevailing opinion of others is that not knowing means you're bad, stupid, wrong. You learn that at an early age. And then after that's been embedded into your psyche, someone comes along and says, oh, everybody asks questions. Everybody needs help sometime. But that can't compete with the emotionally charged memory of being embarrassed in front of your classmates. You know what I found is one of the best ways to switch that paradigm in a child? Ask for help from your kids. Be vulnerable in front of them. Ask for their expertise. Ask them to guide you. When they see you doing it, they will learn that there's a different way to approach that situation. Ask my kids for help all the time. Even if it's something I already know. Because I'm just looking for a clarification and verification. Because one of my sons, my middle boy, is really big into animals. He knows a lot about lizards. So I'll go and find a fact about it and say, can I ask your opinion on something? I know you know a lot about this. I was just reading this thing up about, the bearded dragon, and I just want to check in with you and see if I got this right. Yeah, that's right. Oh, thank you so much, because I wasn't sure, if it was correct information. So I'm going to check in with you because you're really good at this stuff. So thank you so much for helping me understand it. He just witnessed me be vulnerable, not know something, be okay with it, and seek him out so that he could feel like he was an authority. He was contributing to my life. I helped him feel significant because he had something of value to contribute to me. So not only was I modeling self-advocacy and asking for help, I was also meeting some of his 6 essential needs as well. In one conversation. Isn't it nice how that works out? The way to teach it is to model it. Because many years ago when I first started working with a spectrum population, and parents began asking me a lot, how do I teach my child the importance of asking for help? And of course I stumbled across the stuff where, I don't want to look stupid. Kids who don't know are stupid. I don't want to look bad. But I also found that a lot of them didn't even consider it an option. That they were so disconnected from everybody else around them that they thought that all solutions resided with them. If they couldn't solve it all by themselves without the help from anybody else, there was no solution. It simply couldn't be done. Because they had such difficulty connecting with other people that it was considered more painful to ask for help than it was to try it 2,000 times until you got sick of trying. So sometimes the issue isn't that they won't ask for it. Sometimes the situation is it never occurred to them that it was an option. So in all cases, the first step in asking for help is to know that you need it. Know that there's a problem. Know something isn't working. The second step in asking for help is to know what form you need it. We talked about this earlier with learning styles. Do you need it shown to you visually? Do you need it explained to you auditorily? You need to do it once. You need someone to demonstrate it. Let me watch you do it once, and then I'll do it. You can watch me and let me know if I did it right. Because let's say you know you need it, then you say, I need help. And you're that vague about it. Then the person comes up to you and says, okay, let me explain it to you. They tell you. Was that helpful? Yeah. And they go away, and you're no better off than before you asked them. And because it didn't make sense to you, you learn in that moment that, guess what? Asking for help got me nowhere because that person just confused me more. Because you didn't know the form you needed it in, so you couldn't ask for it. The third step is, who do you need it from? I got this funny pain in my side. I'm going to call my accountant. He watches the Discovery Channel. So I know I need it. I know what form I need it, but I asked the wrong person. I've come across so many situations where kids want all of their answers to come from their comfort person. They want their mom or their dad to know everything about their special interests, and if they don't, their parents have failed them. Kid is a total ace in World War II. Dad's an auto mechanic. I was reading something about some decision some general made during a battle and says, Dad, why do you think General so-and-so did this? His dad says, heck if I know. Why don't you know? You're supposed to know. Why should I know anything about that? Don't you care about me? You don't care about anything I like. Turns into a big fight. Kid knew he needed help. He knew what form he needed it in. He asked the wrong person. He needs to find somebody who's an expert on World War II to ask, because that help is available. The fourth step is, how do you ask for it? Run into this a lot at the college level with kids. Because not all professors are equally available. Some have regular office hours. Some will say, stop by after class. Some will say, send me an email. Some will say, lend me a voicemail. So if someone says, well, the teacher likes to, let's leave a voicemail, but I don't like using the phone. Good luck accessing your teacher. Because of that little sticking point in the way you operate, you are denying yourself help. Is I don't like the phone. Or I won't prioritize making an appointment with my instructor after class. The teacher has told you, this is how you ask me for help. This is how you access me. If you have made a decision to not access the teacher that way, you cannot blame the teacher for not getting the help that you need. Or if you simply assume that the way you want to ask for help is the way the other person should or must give it to you, that causes problems too. Well, I'm just going to send my teacher an email, and because I check my email every 10 minutes on my smartphone, it means the teacher does exactly the same thing. What you don't realize is the teacher maybe checks their email once a week. And by then, the question you need an answer to, the opportunity has come and gone, and now your project is late or it's not done correctly, and you say, teacher's a jerk, teacher didn't respond to my email. Well, you didn't find out from the teacher what is the most effective way to ask for the help. Make sense? Fifth step, is it the right time? In so many situations, it's a timing issue. I learned this during my earlier career, before I learned my kids were on the spectrum, before I learned I had some of those issues, where I would just walk up to somebody and start asking my question. I wouldn't say, good morning, how are you doing? I would just walk up and start talking. And somebody, I can't remember how old I was, but it was in one of those teachable moments where I realized what I had done. Because I walked up to somebody and started asking a question, and she stood back and says, well, good morning to you too. So I kind of paused and said, I think I was supposed to do something different here. So I paused for a moment and I said, good morning, how are you today? She said, well, I'm just fine, how are you? And I said, I have a question to ask you. Is now a good time? She says, no, I'm really busy right now. Can you come back in about 20 minutes? So in that single exchange, she taught me that principle. To first greet someone and ask them if now is a good time to get help from them. Because I knew that I needed the help. I knew what information I was lacking. I knew what form I needed it in. I needed her to tell me. I knew who I needed it from, her. I thought I knew how to ask for it. She corrected me on that. But even if all those are correct, got the first four nailed, if now is not the right time, I can't get it then. Because there are plenty of people who have all four of the first four nailed, and the person will say, you know what, not right now, I'm busy. And they hear that as no. They hear it as rejection, and they go away. You told me to go and ask so-and-so for help, and that person didn't help me. Well, did you ask whether now was a good time? Because often, that's the only thing that's missing. This person is perfectly capable, ready, willing, and able to help you, but not right now, maybe in 5, 10, 30 minutes. So it's critical once you know what you need, who you need it from, in what form you need it. You step up and say, excuse me a moment, I have something to ask you, is now a good time? That's your first question. Oh yes, now is a good time, what's your question? Or no, not right now, I'm just on my way out. Can we set up a time to meet at my office? Can you send me an email? Can you call me later this evening? Then I'll be happy to help you. Because often it's simply a timing issue. But if the assumption is, I need help now, you need to give it now, and if the person doesn't give it now, you get impatient, you blame them, you're mad at them, you say, you are not helpful, you didn't help me, you let me down. When actually there was nothing wrong with that scenario except that your belief that you should drop everything and make me the highest priority didn't sync with this person's right to postpone giving you help until it's more convenient for them. Again, a little rules conflict that can create complete disconnect between you getting the help you need from somebody else. Questions, comments, complete looks of confusion. Yes, what, no, now, got some interesting nonverbal just now. You're kind of gritting your teeth as, do I really want to ask this question? Well, the first thing you need to establish, because she was asking about what do you do with an early intervention kid, especially if it's nonverbal, it's younger. The three things you need to establish with a child, nonverbal or not, do you like it or dislike it? And what do you want? Because a lot of times a kid can point. My nephew, he's 2 years old, and my older brother says, well, I got a little bit of that Asperger stuff. He's got a lot of it, okay? So his little boy seems a little speech delayed. And he would always scream when he wanted something. He would scream at the top of his lungs. And what was the feedback he was getting? Stop screaming, knock it off, you're misbehaving. Everybody else was doing this and he was just screaming loud and loud. Then he would start hitting. Don't hit. There was one question not being asked of this child. What question do you think that was? What do you want? So when I was seeing him do this, I would just, for a while I had decided I am not my family's therapist. I cannot ethically intervene. But we were at holiday and he was just blowing his top. He wouldn't stop screaming. So at one point I just walked over. I got down eye level after he was screaming for about 20 minutes and everybody's telling him to stop screaming. I just looked at him and said, what do you want? He pointed to the top of the fridge. He was hungry and wanted some chips. Got his chips and stopped screaming. So I sat down and gave my brother and his wife a lecture on everything they were missing, what it means when he does that, what they need to do from now on. Lesson over. Because little kids can tell you, I like it, I don't like it. They can nod, they can shake their head, they can point. Start that simple. Because you get them tuned in to their own internal feedback. What's working, what's not working. What do I like, what do I not like? And simple ways to communicate that to you. Then the more complex things like this you get into as they mature. Okay? Was there a hand over here? Yes. Mm-hmm. So you have a young lady on the spectrum who doesn't understand that somebody might be busy right now because maybe she's missing something about what they're doing, some nonverbal communication. That's why you teach her the rule. Those 5 steps I just gave you, that's the checklist that somebody can literally, if they need to, walk around on a little index card saying, okay, I need help. What do I need to do here to get it? So if she needs that prompt card, give it to her. Because if you're expecting her to read from somebody else, she might not. She might not get it, especially if she's very egocentric and all she's thinking about is the fact that she wants it and she wants it now because that's her rule. But if you give her the cheat sheet, that trumps it. My 14-year-old, to this day, oftentimes he will come up to me and he'll just start asking for something. And I'll look at him and say, am I doing anything right now? Oh, sorry. And sometimes he'll remember. Say, do you have a minute? I want to ask you something. Say, oh, thank you so much for asking that. Actually, I need to finish what I'm doing right now. Can you come back in 15 minutes? Okay. So I reinforce it when he does it. But he doesn't always remember the rule. So if he needs a little cheat sheet, he's going to get it. Some of the strategies that I do, like the social disclaimer. Like one of the social disclaimers that I use is I know that I don't read nonverbal cues very well. So one of the clarification strategies is, you know what, I want to make sure that I understood you correctly. Or if somebody changes their expression, I don't know whether they got anxious or frustrated. I'll just say, let me check in with you. Can you tell me what you heard me say just now? Well, honestly, what you said just kind of upset me. Oh, thank you so much for telling me that. What about that was upsetting to you? Because I asked them to clarify meeting to let me know whether they had an emotional response, because I don't always catch it. Because there's a push out there to say, read the facial cues chart. You need to know what feelings they're having. We're not always going to catch it. Some of us won't catch it at all. All we need to know is that somebody's emotions might change in response to what we do or say. So the strategy we need is a clarification strategy to get them to tell us. You see that? So she might not be able to look and see if somebody's busy. What she needs is some strategy to remind her that the person might be busy, so that she then remembers to check in with them to see if in fact they are. So this strategy of is it the right time, that's her little mental checklist to go through before she even asks them. Is that helpful? It's not perfect, but it's an improvement over what she's already doing.